Hey everyone, my name is Dragon Boy, and today I'm very excited because I get to use a set of pencil crayons that I've kind of had my eye on for the past few weeks, and honestly, didn't even know they were sold in my local art supply stores. But I also got some extras on top of it. So, first off, I picked up a Canson mixed media pad because I've been doing all my drawing and practicing and shading on sketchbooks from the dollar store, which aren't inherently terrible. They're a pretty good starting point, but I wanted to get something a little bit nicer and more geared toward artists rather than students or, super beginners who just want to dabble around a little bit. I'm trying to take my traditional art a lot more seriously than I've ever done, which is why I'm spending so much time learning and trying new things out and just going on this really crazy journey. This is the 9x12 one. It's got 60 sheets in it. It can apparently do acrylic, watercolor, pen, and pencil, so I'm pretty excited to try all the different things that I've been doing on it, and I have a lot of art supplies that I'm going to be experimenting with, and I'm going to try and take my art pieces a lot further than I normally do. Generally, when I do art pieces, I draw one of my characters or I do a little doodle. I want to try and do some crazy stuff, like big scenes. I have this picture, and this picture that I've done over the course of the last 3 weeks, which are pretty close to being my first time ever using those mediums in that way. In fact, for most of those, it was my first time trying to do something bigger, and I'm really happy with the way they turned out. I didn't do videos on them, but I was really in the moment. It was spontaneous. I'm going to try and document more of what I do, but mostly when I'm using new art supplies, I may occasionally do a time lapse or whatever. But today we're doing this other thing, so let's see what that is. So I'm going to put this Canson thing away. I'm really excited to use that. But today, the main event are these Koh-I-Noor? Is it Koh-I-Noor? I don't actually know how to pronounce that necessarily. But these are the Polycolor oil-based pencil crayons. I believe they're oil-based. But I didn't just get the 12-pack. I am kind of the person that when I say that I'm going to dabble in something, I mean that I'm going to dabble in it by jumping in headfirst at full force because, well, I don't believe in doing things half-assed. So what I mean by that is not only did I get these 12, but I also bought 8 other, 9 other ones to go along with this. Some colors that weren't included in here because I wanted to have the widest range that I could have without breaking my bank for the day. So in here we have, you know what? Let's jump down for this part. In this pack we have a yellow, an orange, a kind of like a red orange, a red, purple, light blue, dark blue, light green, dark green, sort of a kind of orangey brown, and then a more kind of middle ground brown, I guess. It's not very red, it's not very anything else. It's kind of like a normal brown, and then we have a black. But not only that, I actually bought the other ones, like I said. I got myself a silver, a gold, a light gray, sort of a middle ground gray, maybe not quite middle ground, but something in between the black and the light gray. I also got a sort of a peachy, like a skin tone. There are actual names for these colors. I'll get to those later. Then I got a pink, a more pale yellow, but it's kind of an orangey yellow, but a very pale, washed out kind of yellow. I don't actually know what this looks like on the page. Then I got a light blue and I guess a more saturated purple. I'm pretty certain that it's not the same purple that was in here. I really hope it's not, but if it is, no big deal. So I think in total, I actually have 21 of these instead of just 12. So I literally just took the 12 and I flipped it over because I'm a psychopath. So let's pop this open because I can't hold back the excitement anymore. It's just, I can't do that. So we're gonna rip this open. But the cool thing about this one, it seems that it actually comes with a tin. I'm probably not going to use the tin. I've actually kind of sorted the ones in here out so that I could fit the other colors in between. I might reorganize that a little bit more later. But yeah, so let's get our hands on these. Oh my gosh. Like, I felt these ones obviously, but just, I haven't touched them in a couple hours. So I'm actually pretty into the way these feel. I've gotten used to the triangular ones from the dollar store, which, by the way, again, are really good. I'm really happy with how they function for like dollar store pencil crayons. Anyways, I'm going to actually slot these into my sorting case here because I just want to get everything all organized because that's just how I am. So as I thought, these are actually the same purple. Oh no, they are different. Okay, I thought the color name was Czech. Do they all say that on them? Yes, they do. Okay, I scared myself. Oh my god. Okay, and while I realize that putting them in there is a little bit pointless because I'm going to be pulling them out pretty soon to swatch them and stuff, I wanted to see what they looked like in my case. Now I'm just kind of looking at this thing here. It's got a pamphlet. Oh, this is like a catalog. Oh my god. This is bad. Why would you put this in here? This is bad for me. Because I'm going to see more art supplies that I want to spend all my money on. And look how many art supplies there are. Now look at that. Oh my gosh. Those look so good. Like, I think these ones look pretty good too. They're nice and sleek. They're just solid black. Got some color in the back. The one thing I didn't mention about these because, well, it's kind of to be expected from the dollar store. So the backs of the pencils aren't entirely accurate at all. So if you buy these, don't look at the back of the pencil if you're trying to gauge a color. Have a swatch with the numbers, that because these are numbered. Have the number listed on the swatch, and literally you just have to hunt through. The thing I like about these though is these look like they're accurate to the actual color of the pencil, which we'll find out in a minute. Like, look at them. They're like so saturated and like they look like perfection. They got a nice shape and they got this fancy gold end on them. Like, oh my gosh. So let's get to some swatching because, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to be doing my swatching in this book because I want to make sure that my swatches are done on the same paper that I'm going to be doing all my pieces on. Not all paper is made equal. Some have different color tones to them, different textures. Some have color lay down better than others. And this is also going to be what I do all my pieces on. And I want to kind of get to know the paper a little more, and what better way to get to know the paper and the pencil crayons as well than to actually use them together, right? So that totally made sense, and I totally didn't sound like an idiot just now. Okay, so with the rough swatching done, I am noticing there is quite a difference between the two pencil crayons, but it's kind of the reverse difference that I thought it was going to be. Going in, I assumed that the wax-based pencils would be more grippy to the paper, and the oil-based ones would be more oily and slick, but it's actually the complete opposite, which kind of caught me off guard. But before I get into that, the colors went down really, really well. Because of that grippiness that they have, I assume that was a result of the leads being much softer, being oil-based, and so the color went down actually not just really nicely, but far easier. I didn't have to put nearly as much pressure down on the pencils to get a really deep saturated color, which means I need to be a little more careful when using these to do art because I don't want to burnish the piece too soon. With the other ones, the leads are more dry, I guess, so they slide around better, and the color doesn't go down nearly as much because it can slick around. Now, the reason that I assumed the oil-based ones would be slicker and the wax-based ones would be stickier is because I've had the experience of putting wax on a surface and finding that it actually adds more friction, and then I've also had oil on a surface that removed some friction, and that's kind of why I expected it to be the other way around when it's not. Now, I tried doing a little blending with the oil-based ones, and clearly there is a far different method to doing it, so I need to do a little bit of watching, a little bit of reading up, and seeing what techniques can be learned to better blend. I think I have kind of a handle on it now that I understand how these go down on the paper, how they function, and the fact that they're softer and I have to be more careful about putting color down. I might just dive in and try something simple and then do some actual video watching. I'm not one usually to be taught to do things. I'm often the kind of just dive in and experiment until I figure it out myself. But I'm trying to take this a little more seriously, and by seriously I mean I want to dive into more things in a more serious manner, but I also want to accept external guidance for things like this. I didn't have a lot of guidance growing up when I first got into anything creative. Never had anyone to go to ask for help and stuff, so I just kind of learned to take care of myself in that manner, and I don't want to be like that anymore. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing to be independent and teach yourself to do things, but at the same time I feel like it's important to connect with other artists and have conversations, because you might learn, or you will learn things you wouldn't learn otherwise alone. Anyways, I'm going to head off to YouTube and probably some Google searching and see all the different techniques and methods people use to better their blending and shading with oil-based pencil crayons. I imagine a lot of the techniques are different, but the actual logic and stuff behind it's probably pretty similar to other mediums. You want darker or more saturated tones, press harder. You want lighter, press lighter. Stuff like that. I don't know. My assumption, I'm probably going to be the opposite again. Apologies for the black lines in the video. Apparently I had my lamp a little bit too close to my new camera, and it caused some refresh rate weirdness, so there's like scan lines or something. Can't fix it in post, so I'm just going to have to live with it. So again, apologies. But I went and watched some videos about the differences between the two types of pencil crayons, and also some videos covering some tips on blending with them, because I guess you could technically use a wax-based colorless blender on these things, but I mean the whole point of oil-based is to get away from the wax. And after I felt confident, I decided to jump into the standard 3D ball with a shadow to kind of test out what I've learned. And while my shading isn't perfect, I think I kind of got the hang of how these things work. And then I also drew an eye using some of those techniques as well, which didn't turn out great, and I mean it's okay, but I could do a lot better. I've been very interested in trying to do some more realism based stuff, but considering I've been a toon artist for pretty much the entire time I've been drawing, which is over 20 years, it's quite a new crazy thing to wrap my head around, and I'm gonna have to do this for a while before I can be confident enough to say that I'm good at it. So here is the 3D ball that I did after some learnings. It's not perfect. The shadow behind the ball could have been done a little bit better, and honestly the position of that shadow isn't great either. I think the shadow would be more going upward a little bit, and it probably wouldn't stretch out so far given the angle that I drew the lamp at, but I have to learn. I was focusing more on the actual learning to blend the colors and less on the actual structure of the image. So next one will be a little bit better, hopefully. I know that I have a lot to learn, but I think that this looks pretty good considering the amount of experience I don't have with working with pencil crayons of any kind. And on the other side is the eye, which again, not perfect. There's a lot of issues with it, but I think that I learned quite a bit about doing hair and making it look more like hair. Now, obviously, I did a big dumb and drew the eyebrow hairs going in the wrong direction. They're going in the right direction if this was the right eye, but the left eye, but this just so happens to be the right eye. So the hairs are actually going towards the nose, which isn't great. But again, I was focusing more on technique and less about drawing something that was photo accurate. I wanted to test out my blending, my understanding of colors, and this is actually the first time I ever added any pink around the corners of the eye or the edges of the eyelids, so I think that was pretty cool. But again, I have to do a little bit more real photo study to understand things in the real world. I've been doing cartoon style art for a long time, and so realism was never a part of it, so this is a completely new and very mixed bag for me. But I am very happy with how well I'm doing so early on. And with that, I am going to do a much bigger piece, but I'm going to cut that into another video because this video has run past probably about 16 minutes now, and I'm not sure there's anyone that wants to sit around with me for a half an hour. So I'm going to do a part 2 of this after about a week or two of working with these pencil crayons, getting to know them, practicing and getting a bit better before I jump into anything huge. I actually have a plan for a picture. It's going to be something to do with life and death, not in a sad or whatever way. It's going to be something a little more poetic and hopefully beautiful looking. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, thank you guys so much. I've been Dragon Boy. You have been incredible. I want to thank Jane Bush for inspiring me and making me feel like I can actually do this. Now, we haven't had any direct lessons or anything, but I've been watching a lot of her videos, and well, I mean, she's amazing. If you haven't seen her videos, you should definitely go. I'm going to leave a link in the description to her channel. She covers a lot of different art supplies. She's all about fun, life, and creativity. And if you're feeling uninspired, 100% her videos are going to inspire you. I guarantee it. Money back guarantee. Not that you gave me any money, but you know how it is. Anyways, I'll see you guys around. Go check out Jane's videos, you crazy humans.